Okay. All right, we're going to talk about something related to camp here.
I don't think there's much else.
Okay, bro. So when you get started?
Okay.
This is the that's the
okay.
That's the source sheet over there, guys, in the chat.
Okay, those will be our sources for today, so that I don't have to do the screen share, so we can all see each other the whole time. But please look along. Come learn with me these sources. I thought this was a fun shiur to do since it's very much directly related to camp. I am dedicating this shiur to my son's Machal group. All of you Machal kids out there who would have been on Machal this summer, Shevet Sinai. I'm just giving a little shout out to my son. I'm not allowed to say his name. Anybody who knows my son who would have been in Machal. Okay, so the shiur is dedicated to Shevet Sinai and their Misperei Barzel, that they will not be able to be counting all summer long. But I wanted to talk about this idea of counting people in halacha. I always find it to be a nice topic to go through in the sources, because you have some really nice Tanakh kind of sources, some really great text, and some parshanut in the Rishonim, like you start seeing already how it's possible for us to count. Okay. And I'm not saying how can we, as if like it's one of those things where everybody goes to Rav Adi and says like, how are we allowed to do this? I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about, I want to show you why we do. Okay. So those are my parents. Welcome to camp. Those are the Shapiros. Welcome to camp.
Nice too.
Okay.
So happy to be
here. Okay. So here we go. Adi, want to share the source sheet with them again?
Yeah.
Okay, it's a Google Doc, so you'll just click on the link that Adi sends. Okay, here we go. We're going to start. We're going to have some Chumash and some Rishonim, and then we'll get into some other things here. We'll see how much we could do. I hope I don't have to rush it. I'm usually good about timing, but I'm not so sure if I bit off a little more than we can chew, but let's try.
How long are we supposed to have? How long is this supposed to be?
I think, no, not more than 45 minutes, right, Adi? 40 minutes? Is that good? Okay. So let's take a look. Again, it's the kind of thing where if you guys want to keep looking at it after, you can always read through the sources again. You could always, chat with me later. Adi could even post my number if anybody wants to WhatsApp me and go over anything if I do it too fast, or if you have a question, or if you want to know more, or you want to talk about something you heard and you don't feel like we have time to discuss it. So Adi, if you could put down my number so that anybody can WhatsApp me and we can, always continue the conversation. Okay, this shiur always starts in Parshat Ki Tisa, right? I find that if you're going to go to a shiur and it's going to be about counting people, about a census, you're always going to start in Parshat Ki Tisa in Shmot Parak Lamed, where we know the Torah says, "Vaydebar Hashem el Moshe lemor Ki Tisa et Rosh Bnei Yisrael lifkudeim," right? When you count, literally when you raise the head, okay? V'natnu ish kofer nafsho laHashem bifkodotam v'lo yebam negef bifkodotam. Okay? Every person has to give a ransom, something to redeem their soul when you count them. And that way, v'lo yebam negef bifkodotam. And I'm thinking, negef, why negef? Like, why are you bringing up negef? But clearly, it sounds like if I don't do this, then there will be a problem with the negef. But if you count the way I'm telling you to count, you'll avoid the negef. Okay? We'll talk about the plague in 1 minute. Zeyitnu, just to finish the psukim, Zeyitnu kol over ala pikudim machatzit shekel, right? The famous half of a shekel, the shekel HaKodesh. It weighs esrim geirah shekel, machatzit shekel, truma laHashem. It's going to end up being this contribution. We'll learn about that more again. This is just the opening. Kol ha'over ala pikudim iben esrim shana v'mala. We're counting 20 and up in the census. Yitain trumat Hashem. So they're going to give this machatzit shekel, which is going to be a contribution to Hashem, which obviously means to the Beit HaMikdash, right? Usually when we say to Hashem, we would mean then to the Beit HaMikdash or to the Kohen or something that has to represent. That means, it represents God. That beautiful idea. Everybody's the same. Tons of divrei Torah about how we all complement each other. We all need each other. It's about humility, etc. Fights the ego. Fine. So again, l'chaper al nafshotechem. Second time we're saying the shoresh kaf pei reish. V'lakachta et kesef ha'kippurim eit b'nei Israel. Third time we're saying that shoresh of atonement. V'natata oto al avodat oel moed. Now you know it's going to the Mishkan. V'haya levnei Israel lezikaron lefnei Hashem lechaber al nafshatecha. Okay, so over and over and over again, I'm reading. This is the way you're going to count. Machatzit shekel. Okay, so much so, and we all know this Rashi. Kitisa, right? When kishetachpotz lekabel schum minyanam ledat kamaim. When you want to count. Okay, you don't have to. It sounds like you don't have to count. Whenever you're going to want to count, altim name legulgola. You don't count them by skull, by head. Ela yitnu kol echad machatzit shekel. And that's how you're going to count. And then v'timne et hashkalim, Rashi says. And then you're going to count the shkalim that we get, v'teida minyanam. Okay? Everybody put in, your campstone bracelet. We'll count the bracelets, and we'll see how many people are here. Right? That's exactly what we're doing. Everybody give a machatzit shekel. But this machatzit shekel is somehow fighting off a plague. Okay? Also relevant for us today with our corona. Our pasuk said, and Rashi explains, Shahaminyan sholeit bo ayin hara. He makes it sound like I know that, right? Because hello, the numbering, the count, a minyan, a census, sholeit bo ayin hara. The evil eye rules over it. The evil eye hovers there. V'hadever ba'aleihem. And then pestilence, a magefa of dever, like from Mitzrayim, is going to come, David, which of course we'll look at, which is one of the nice sources we get to do, a source from Sefer Shmuel. Okay, so we'll look at that in a minute when David brought on David. So please, when you count, don't just count straight, use machatzit shekel. Okay, I think all of us are familiar with that. I think some of us are bothered by this ayin hara thing, so we'll talk about it in a minute. Okay, we'll talk about ayin hara in 1 minute. But what I think is more interesting is, does everybody remember learning Sefer Bamidbar and coming across the beginning of Sefer Bimidbar, Vayidaber Hashem al Moshe, Bimidbar Sinai, Be'oel Moed, Be'echal HaChodesh HaSheni, B'Shana HaShenit, let's say Tam Eretz Mitzrayim. Second year now, anniversary of Yetziat Mitzrayim is passed. It's now the first of Iyar. Do you remember Sefer Bimidbar opens up in Iyar? And then a few prakim later, we go back to Nisan, which just goes to prove that, Ein Mukdam U'Muchar B'Torah. And here at the beginning of Bamidbar, Hashem says, Si'u et rosh kol adat b'nei Yisrael l'mishpachotam leveit avotam b'mispar shemot kol zachar legulgelotam. Do you remember how I translated gulgolet? What are you counting? What's a gulgolet?
A head?
Count heads. That's what it says. Legulgelotam. Mi ben esrim shana v'mala kol yotzei tzava b'Yisrael. The beginning of Bamidbar is getting ready to enter the land. Remember, Chaf Iyar. This is Aleph Iyar, right? Later on in Baalotcha, it's Chaf Iyar, because first we go back to Nisan, and then we pick up again in Iyar. And Moshe says to Yitro, his father-in-law, Yalla, we're going in. It's Chaf Iyar, we're going in. And that's when we don't know if Yitro went with them or not, and that's when it looks like they sent the Meraglim, and then it all fell apart, and they ended up staying in the Midbar 40 years. But they're about to go in, they think. So he says, okay, so count everybody. Let's get ready. Clearly, we're doing this for an army. Mi ben esrim shana v'mala kol yotzei tzava b'Yisrael tifkedu litzivotam atav yaru. Okay? V'itchem yiyu ish ish lamata ish rosh leveit avotavu. Okay? How is that possible? What happened to Kitisa at Rosh B'nai Yisrael? Give machatzit shekel right away in Bamidbar. You don't see anything about machatzit shekel. I literally see count legulgelotam. Do you remember learning this? Do you remember what happens in Sefer Bamidbar? What did all if you learned this in high school? Anybody remember? You had to talk about this. Do you remember? What do we say? So Rashi, which I'm sure you learned, right, first says, Mitochi batan lefanav moneatam kol shah. First of all, he talks about how Hashem counts them out of love. I remember our teacher in high school told us, remember this, Adi? Classmate? Do you remember we learned every Sefer, Rashi starts by talking about Chiba? Yep, Ms. Naiman, Hindi Naiman taught us that. Every Sefer starts with Chiba for Bnei Yisrael. Rashi, the first Rashi of every Sefer, talks about Chiba to Bnei Yisrael. Okay, so first Rashi brings that idea, fine. But let's go to Legul Gilotam, the second Rashi. What do you mean count them by head? I thought we're not allowed to. So Rashi says, guys, al yedei shkalim, bekala gugulet. Obviously. Right? Obviously, what do you think? The Torah is going to say it every time? I'm not going to say it every time. Okay? If I told you, all of you in camp, I said wear your masks indoors. Every time we go indoors, we're not going to say wear your mask. I said at the beginning, you wear your mask indoors. So when I say we're going indoors and somebody in camp goes with the mask, Yaakov's going to look at you and be like, yes, with the mask. Stop asking. I told you. So God is not going to keep saying it every time. Okay? When God says count from now on, when I say count, it means with a machatzira shekel. Okay? That's what Rashi, brings from Chazal. Definitely one way to go. Okay? It's going to come up again, by the way, in Parshat Pinchas. Right? In Parshat Pinchas, it's going to go on. Again, we're going to have this in Perek Kavav. So that's this week's Parsha. This week's Parsha, we're going to see again. Su'u et Rosh, Perek Kavav. Count Bnei Yisrael. Nothing about Machatzira Shekel. Ela Pikudei. Right? This is the count. Asher Pakdu. That they counted. I don't see anything about Machatzira Shekel. So again, I'm going to have to say, according to Rashi, with Machatzira Shekel. Fine. If that's true, don't forget, we're going to get back to in a second how David ever messed up. Okay, again, hopefully, you learned this at some point in your life. If David counted and brought a magefa, are you telling me he didn't know that you count with machatzira shekel? David HaMelech forgot something that's mentioned explicitly in Torah. It doesn't really make sense. Okay, so we'll get back to that in 1 minute. But let's just talk about the ayin hara for a second. What do you guys think about the ayin hara? Are you into ayin hara? Who here is scared to count people? Have you ever counted somebody? You're like, oh my God, don't count. What did you always think ayin hara meant? Don't you find it's weird to say that? Yes, Tzviki, are you into ayin hara?
We're not really into ayin hara, but we are aware of it. I think that's the...
Not Tzviki's baby. For those of you who do not know, he is not a
I'm
teenager.
sorry. All right, we'll get back to it later.
But what did you say? What did he say about ayin hara, though? Tzviki, what did you say about ayin hara? Nah, not worth it.
He said he doesn't believe in it, but he's aware of it.
Okay, so it could be that there is such a thing as an ayin hara, but here it gets a little bit hard to say I don't believe in it. When it you want to say it's like a Sephardi superstition. You want to say the red bendel. You want to whatever. You want to have your conversations about ayin hara. We could do that, but it sounds here like God Himself is saying v'lo yaba negef, and if you count without the machatzira shekel, I'm zapping you with a negef, which means don't do that. I don't even know if we should call it ayin hara then. It's like a punishment for counting without machatzira shekel. No, it's funny that Rashi, even the Chazal, talk about it as ayin hara, which makes it sound not even so, the consequence, which is what it actually sounds like. It sounds like a punishment. Karet, skila, negef. Do you know what I mean? Okay, but what have you guys, anybody ever heard something about that? That you want to share, that you remember why it is that counting might bring, bad stuff? Go ahead, Sophia.
I also am skeptical about it, but it does remind me of the phrase, don't count your chickens till they hatch.
Okay.
So even if it's not necessarily worrying that a whole negef will come, but that maybe we should be careful, more humble about counting people in general, and not taking that for granted.
Okay, good. Do you want to just keep going? So it's about humble, meaning when I count, you're telling me I'm not so humble. Why not? Just say that again.
I guess it's assuming that, I don't fully know. I mean, there's a sense of luck, I guess, that comes into it, or assuming that you're so powerful when ultimately it's not up to you how many numbers we have.
Okay, good.
God.
Okay, good. And then the negef, let's be honest, if you were right, and it's that the counting is a little flexing, yeah, it's reminding me of the kochiva otzem yadi problem, right? That we have in Devarim Perek Chet, kochiva otzem yadi, look at us, we have 450 campers. Look at me, right? I have 11 children. Okay, pipe down. So if we're talking about a Mida issue, then the negef is more of a punishment for ego. Right? Then we're not talking about iji kind of, stuff. We're talking instead.
It could be a punishment, or it could also be you actually have no idea how fleeting these numbers can be. So it could be that, but I think it's also just like reminding you that those numbers can disappear at any moment.
Okay, and that way, v'lo yeh b'hem negef, you're reading as not necessarily or zeh, but be careful because at any moment things could change and you're relying on something and publishing it like it's for sure. Relax, like that. Okay, good. So I think our rational minds, go there. Yeah, go ahead, Zahara and Tano.
So I don't know exactly how it would connect to the negef part of it, but both the machatzit shekel and talking about the misperei barzel, you have the people who are being counted giving something of themselves. So they're kind of agreeing to be counted. So that also connects with the arrogance of like, if I'm counting people, then maybe there's somebody there who doesn't want to be counted, or who can't be counted for whatever reason.
Oh, that's cool. So my going around being like 1, 2, 3, there's something about me that's forcing something, but you're already jumping ahead and saying when I go ahead and I go 1, 2, that maybe that's a completely different kind of count.
Because I'm saying I'm here, which is the same as the machatzit shekel. I'm here.
Okay, good, excellent. So it might be, by the way we do machatzit shekel might be the way we sort of offer up accounting, right? We'll talk more about that at the end, about people who just, go through a pasuk, people who, whatever. There's other ways to get around this, if we're scared to count, and maybe just shouting out numbers the way they do in camp, that's it's okay. That's okay. It's not this. Okay, what were you going to say, Natano?
I want to say that I heard that the problem with counting is that you lower the value of the person once you turn him into a number. That he's not an individual person, but he's now just another object that you have. Like, I have my cow, I have my cat, and I have, my 10 sons.
Okay, and
also
does that
connects with
Negev more? Yeah, wait. Does that to you make the Negev more understandable, or you're not saying anything about the Negev right now?
I think it's more of a punishment of like, oh, you're treating it like another object. Okay, so like objects raw, so now I'm going to make your objects, quote unquote, also be damaged.
Okay, fine.
It's a fitting punishment.
Okay, so again, not ayin hara in any superstitious way. It just, that's the result. That's the punishment that comes.
I see the ayin hara more of the outlook of the person, that you are giving it like a bad perspective. Like you're looking at the people in a bad light, and like that's the ayin hara.
Okay, good. Don't forget, when we talk about ayin hara, I think we're so used to assuming it's ayin hara, right? Oh my God, poo poo poo, foo foo foo, bli ayin hara. I think I got a 1400, bli ayin hara, like that. But you could also understand it as ayin hara the way we talk about in midot. We talk about someone having an ayin hara, which is like tsarut ayin, which means an evil eye that they look at you with. Meaning when you are going out with somebody and I'm jealous, right? And I look at you and I'm like, oh, she thinks she's so cool because she's already, right? That's an ayin hara. It's not ayin hara the way we all talk about. That sounds superstitious. It's I'm looking at you and being jerky. I'm being stingy. Sarut ayin is about being stingy. It's about begrudging you, right? That's the opposite of in Hebrew when they say lefargain, is to dafka not look at someone bitsarut ayin, right? Lefargain, like let them have it. Just stop being so stingy. So it could very well be that ayin hara means if you are going to go out and flaunt what you have, people are going to look at you and say bad things and mean things, and you're being machshil people. To go around saying, I have this many children, you're just causing people to be jealous, which is causing people to look at you with sarut ayin, with ayin hara. That it doesn't have to be superstitious, okay? So when you hear Rashi saying it, sholeit ayin hara, it's true. People around you are going to look at you with an ayin hara, just an evil eye. Literally, they're going to look down at you and be stingy towards you. Okay, so it doesn't have to be superstitious, which is why I want to show you another one in a second. Go ahead, Ephraim, finish, and then I'll show you this other idea about the ayin hara. Go ahead.
I heard it was related to Avram, and how Hashem said to Avram that, like we shouldn't try to contradict Hashem's promises by counting.
Okay, we're going to see those psukim in a second. We're going to talk about how Bnei Yisrael are not able to be counted, and like we're going to see a pasuk like that from Hosea in a minute, Okay, let me just keep going so we don't get stuck. So Sforno, I just want to show you these other ideas of ayin hara before we go back to David for a second to find out how he blew this. Okay, the Sforno says this. Tell me if you like this. If you just look in the, in Shemot, Parak Lamed, if you look around at the Rishonim on what this means about a negef and what this bad luck is about counting. Why am I giving a kofer? V'natnu ish kofer nafsho ki hechrech haminyan be'ishe ha'adam hu mitzada hishtanut hakora be'ishav mehavaya v'hefseid. The necessity, hechrech, right? Something's mukhrach, it's necessary. The necessity of counting B'ishei ha'adam, amongst humanity. Why do we even count? It's because it changes mehavaya v'miyavseid, right? It's changing from being born and dying. Why is there a census every few years in a country? I told you how many there were. Why are you asking me again? Because people die. Unfortunately now, right? This whole world has lost over 500,000 people. I just read 530,000 people have died from corona. So in a few months, our numbers on this earth have changed. Now, okay, there's also been babies born, right? So let's see, what is it? Because we've had babies being born, we've had people dying of a pandemic. I wonder what we're up to. It's only because of that. Vizeh. And you know why people are born and people die? Vizeh b'sibat chat'am. And that's all because of sin. Do you remember? Ki amram ein mita belochi. U'b'chein kol minyanu mazkir avon. Every time we talk about counting, we're saying who's still here. And if we're saying who's still here, we're talking about that there's been death. And if we're talking about there's been death, we're hinting at the fact that there's sin in the world, and sin brings death, and therefore, shoot. U'b'chein kol minyanu mazkir avon. Every time we count, we're like, it's sort of raising the idea of sin. Lachen yeot. It makes sense. It's good. It's ra'ui. Sheyitin kol achad kofer nafsho. L'chvod hakel yitbarach. V'urachum yechaper avon. And Hashem should forgive us for our sins. As it says in the Psukim, l'chaper al nafshotechem, 4 times. We saw that. Shoresh. So maybe what we're talking about here is the idea of death, and it reminds us of sin, so it just brings up sin. So we do a little tachanun, because as we're doing a census, we're sort of giving a shout out to sin. So now that we're talking about sin, we do a little rachum yechaper avon, and we give a little tzedakah to the Mishkan. Okay? Fine. The Kli Yakar says it this way. So interesting. I was reading the Kli Yakar. V'od kasha l'dar chazal. Okay, the Kli Yakar asks, it bothers him that Chazal say shekapara zo hayta lechapera maseh egel. Okay, now he's bothered by this midrash in a second, but I just want to show you the midrash. He's quoting a midrash that's in Talmud Yerushalmi. You see it in Masechet Shkalim. Shekapara zo hayta lechaper al maseh egel. He's going to ask a question on that in a minute, but you hear that? According to the Talmud Yerushalmi, the kapara in Kitisa is about the egel. So right away, I'm starting to wonder, wait, a one-time kapara for the egel? Or do you mean that that's where the idea of kapara came up, and then we're always going to be nervous about our sin from the egel? If you tell me the kapara in Kitisa is about the egel, are you telling me the egel follows us now forever? Or did you just tell me what I never even thought of, which is that maybe only in Kitisa there's machatzita shekel, and maybe never again. Maybe the machatzita shekel was kapara for the egel, but never again. So it's sort of, it really piques your interest. Okay, so hold on, we'll get to that. So let's read again. V'od kasha l'dat Chazal. The Kli Yakar says, and it's, I'm bothered by the fact that Chazal say, shekapara zo hayta lechaper al maseh egel. Imkein, if that's true, lama yitnu hakofer dafka b'shat hamispar? Wait, the kapara is for the egel, so then what does that have to do with counting? V'od kasha. V'lo b'cheta egel yukol Yisrael shavim zikenim im ne'arim. V'kofer lo natnu ki im mishu miben esrim. Anybody want to say what that one means? If you were telling me the kapara is only for the egel, v'lo b'cheta egel hayukol Yisrael shavim zikenim im ne'arim. V'kofer lo natnu ki im mishu ben esrim. What else bothers the Kli Yakar about this idea by Chazal in Talmud Yerushalmi, that the kofer is only because of the egel? What else is kind of weird about it? Who did the egel? Everybody. Who needs a kapara? Only those who are being counted over 20. But, so what, the other people don't need the kapara? Something like it doesn't fit, right? So listen to how the Kli Yakar keeps going. V'nir'eh liyashev kol zeh b'ma shenemar. And now we have to go back to the Egel. Ubiyom pakdi ufakarati aleim et chatzatam. What did that pasuk mean by the Egel? And on the day that I'm poked, I'll be poked them on their sin. Like, what's all this poked stuff? Ma'u biyom pakdi. Ella, you know what God is saying there? Shora bazeh shalo nimchal lahem avona Egel. Ella ba'avor shayu achotim rabim tinefishe rachamei. Ki HaKadosh Baruch Hu chas bioter al rabim. As it says, a pasuk you know in Yonah. He brings another one in Eov, which you don't know as well, so I took that one out. But you know the one in Yonah. Va'ani lo achus al ninveh asher yesh ba harbe mishtem esrei ribo. God says to Yonah at the end with the kikayon. Remember that? It's a question. Va'ani lo achus al ninveh asher yesh ba harbe mishtem esrei ribo. The idea is that God forgives when there's a lot. When we're talking about a huge number, God forgives. Ulefi zeh ein kapara zo mishameshet ki im bizman shekol achad yoshev b'toch amo kemo shamra hashunamit b'toch ami anochi yoshavet. There's an idea of being b'toch ha'am. There's an idea of being part of the nation. What do you know from Pirkei Avot? Don't ever separate. What's that called? Stay close to everybody else. Don't go out on your own. What's that called in Pirkei Avot?
Al tifrosh min hatzibur.
Good, and he's going to say that later. He's going to say, as you know, al tifrosh min hatzibur. And the idea is we are only going to get through this, and we only got through it at the Egel when we were all together. God's not going to wipe out the entire Jewish people. That we're promised. So just hang on to the coattails of the entire Jewish people, and you're going to be okay. Okay, he quotes the Isha Shunamit. You can look there about the idea. B'toch ami anochi yoshavet. There also she brings that up, and it's like a nice way to say it. Okay, I sit amongst my people. I am one of many. I do not stand alone. Okay, but now look. Aval bizman shehem nisparim echad leechad yesh lachush. Sham mispar yigrom shekol achad levado b'fnei atzmo ya'aleh zichrono lamala. Shoot. V'yitbaker pinkaso. Whenever anybody's counted, you understand in that moment, I'm going 1, 2, you stand alone, spotlight on you, 1, spotlight on you, 2, shoot. If you're standing alone, guess what happens? God might open up your pinkas, right, your din v'cheshbon. And now, honey, alone, do you really think your merits outweigh the chovo, what you're due? Do you really think you have more pluses than minuses? As a Jewish people, I think we're always going to make it through. But do you feel comfortable standing up in front of God alone? Remember how it's better to daven in a minyan. Don't ever stand there in front of God alone if you don't have to. Always go with a buddy. Right? It's like going to the principal. You don't go alone, you know? Okay, always go with a buddy. Okay? Hi, Ali. So the idea is that you're going to stand alone when you get counted. And now, the avon, believe it or not, ubesiba zo yazkiru lo avona egel. Shekavar nimchal. Ki lo nimchal ki imel rabim velo liyachidim. Do you know that now you might not survive this? You might not survive anymore the egel sin. Because you're standing alone. The counting causes each person to stand alone. So now, when Bnei Yisrael were being counted, it became important to have a kofer for your nefesh because they survived the Egel only as an am. And if we're going to start counting now for the army, let's say, and that's why I won't go into the whole thing because it's long. And that's why I'm counting. And that's why, you know, all of a sudden I need a kofer because I'm counting chayalim. But now they're going to stand alone in God's like eye. So now I need a kofer nefesh. What this starts to tell me is that, and he says this later on, if you read after, I want to keep going obviously so we should finish in time, but you'll keep saying the Kli Yakar starts to raise the idea lefi she'ein stam mispar hagoreim. It is not that counting is the cause for the problem. The egel caused the problem. And when you're going to be counted and you're going to stand alone, the egel is going to come back at you. Okay? Again, what I'm starting to hear, though, is that this might not be a problem for me in 2020. I didn't do the egel. So, but it would kind of start me thinking, oh, you're right. It might not be the egel, but it might be something else. So maybe for me, I don't want to ever stand alone because of my own sins. Like, I don't know, like the idea of counting someone is just, it's not safe. It's never safe to go out there alone. That's all. Okay? But in that generation, it was the egel. So it could be the Kli Yakar saying, as we'll see, and it didn't go to the next generation, and it's not a mitzvah l'dorot. Or he also would say, and therefore never be counted alone, because your sins will never survive that scrutiny. Okay? Now, if we go to the end to the David, let's just talk about David for a minute. The Kli Yakar in his last paragraph says, Umasha makshim, lama avru Shaul v'Davidu min ha'um b'lo chatzei shkalim. And everybody asks, how could it be that David, how could it be, right? That they counted, Shaul counted, it says at one point, in one pasuk. We can see the pasuk later. David counted. This is crazy. What's everyone counting? They're not from? Nira l'taret, says the Kli Yakar, she'ena ayin sholet, ki im b'mispar shehu davar chidush. Only if it's like a new, you're opening up a new thing. Okay, derech mashal im ro'in etzel ish ani mea zehuvim yoter, hu tzarich lizaher min ayin hara, mima shero'in biad ha'ashir kama alafim. If a poor person gets money, he should be nervous. But if a rich person adds in a little more, you don't have to be nervous. Only when it's like chidush. Kach Yisrael, similarly, b'tzeita mi Mitzrayim, hayu muchzakim b'mitei mispar. Ki ha'inui shel Mitzrayim haya mima'et bahem. B'nai Yisrael took a beating in Mitzrayim. They were basically nothing. Upitom, Allah mispar al sheish meot elef. And then they were blessed. They were blessed. Paru vayishritzu vayirbu. Like, now you have to be careful. Imkain az vada ish lachush la'ayin hara. Aval achar kach. This is the Kli Yakar. But later on, kasher ba'ula aretz no shavet v'Yehuda v'Yisrael kechol hayam lo haya chidush ba'am. Right? Then it's not a chidush anymore. Okay? And then you don't have to be nervous, which basically means that David and Shaul, when you read that they counted without machatzira shekel. And the Kli Yakar says that's fine. Because in life, you're allowed to count, just not when it's chidush. Okay? As long as he says again, lo haya chidush be'am rav shenimne be'etat tzorech. You're not talking about a big chidush in this huge nation. You already have like you have thousands and thousands of people. What's so new? I'm just getting a read on exactly how much we have. It's not like that doesn't bring ayin hara, and it's be'etat tzorech. He brings that in, which we're going to come back to. Be'etat tzorech. What was that? Be'etat tzorech. Why should that change? Why do you think if I need to know, it's better? This goes back to what you said, Sophia. If I need to know, okay, imagine like a census today, or imagine there's like a tornado in camp, God forbid, and they quickly send everybody back to the bunks and we're counting. How is that different in a way than what we didn't like about counting before, Sophia? Do you get it? When he starts saying Be'etat Tzorech, why does that rub you differently? Do you want to say why it's not what you said before, really, right?
Right, because there it's like you're actually checking for the case of safety and recognizing the fleetingness of it all.
Okay, good. So I'm not flexing my muscle. Like it's not about that. I'm not like counting my money to see how much I have. I'm counting. It's not like I'm not trying to show off. So if that was our problem before, then all of a sudden Be'etat Tzorech changes it. So I just want you to start seeing that even when you literally just start learning Chumash, okay, you start seeing already the groundwork in the Mefarshim on Chumash. That like, I don't think this is as usher as I thought it was. Like they're already starting to say it's not so bad if, it's only an issue when, maybe it was only that generation, it's for sure not. Like I'm already hearing sort of relaxed, You know? Okay, let's just look at David for 1 second. We don't have time to but remember the story in Barak of Daled? Vayosef el af Hashem lacharot b'Yisrael vayased et David behem. Lech menei Yisrael v'et Yehuda. You actually hear that God is upset and six, sort of like this Yetzer Hara in David, to go count. So it's clear that David's about to do something wrong, by the way. That's how the pasuk starts. And Hashem was angry, so he got David to do the following. Okay, so then that says that the following is bad. So then David goes and counts the nation. So what's so bad? So Mefarshim all talk about shoot, did David HaMelech really go count without Machatzit HaShekel? Now the Ramban, right after I'm bringing you, okay, the Ramban, I'll just say it out loud, the Ramban says no. David is he knows about Machatzit HaShekel, very much like Chazal. Do you know what I mean? You always have to do Machatzit HaShekel. Everybody knows you have to do Machatzit HaShekel. David did Machatzit HaShekel. What was the problem? So he brings up, Ba'avor shemina'am shelo litzorech. He did it without a reason. And you even see it in the Psukim when Yoav says to him in Pasuk Gimel, oh, come on, David. We know we have a lot of people. Why are you counting? And David's like, be quiet, go count. I told you to do something. So you hear in Yoav's voice, I don't think this is a good idea, David. He didn't say, okay, but David, don't forget Machatzit HaShekel. Whatever, of course Machatzit HaShekel. Okay, the Ramban says, we're not talking about that. We're beyond that. That wasn't the part that was bad. The part that was bad, the Ramban says, is that he counted Shelo Litzorech. He counted to totally flex a muscle. He counted in order to see how many do I have, and therefore, in the end, it's that crazy thing. Do you remember where God says, okay, take a punishment. 7 years famine, 3 months of war, or 3 days of a plague? What do you pick, David? And David picked the plague. So he got punished. But did he get punished because he didn't do Machatzit HaShekel? A lot of Mefarshim are that can't be. Okay, so either you say that can't be, he did Machatzit HaShekel, or you say that can't be because he doesn't need to do Machatzit HaShekel because you never needed Machatzit HaShekel again. That was only about the Egel or something. Or you say he did Machatzit HaShekel, but it was for something else. He was just showing off and had no reason to count. Okay, so it becomes this very interesting thing as you start learning. So I just want to show you one other one, which is the Abar Benel, who says very explicitly, this is never an issue again. Machatzit HaShekel was for Dor HaMidbar. It is not Lidorot. Okay, let me just show you a little bit of that, and then we'll come to a close. The Abar Benel, if you look towards the end, first of all, he asks in his third question in Bamidbar, right? He asks questions at the beginning of his Pirushal ways, and then he puts together a whole approach to the Psukim, and he answers each question like a magician. Boom, 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 everything solved. Okay? So one of his questions is, I don't understand. Be'amro, suet rosh kol adat b'nei Yisrael, mishpachotam, like we read in Bamidbar. I don't understand. V'hu behefech ma shetzivta Torah. That is the opposite of what God already told me to do. Ki tisa at Rosh b'nei Yisrael ifkudeim. V'natnu ish kofer nafsho l'Hashem. The Abar Menel says what we all say if we know Chumash well. I'm so confused. God is saying count l'gulgulat. I thought that was the worst thing to do. And he quotes Rashi. I know Rashi, says Abar Benel, right? Living in the 1400s. I know. Upirish Rashi, kishatirtza lekabel schum minyana, ladat kamaim al timnim lagugolet. I know. In Bamidbar, it means machatzit shekel. Okay, says the Abar Benel. Ve'ech im kain sivakan sheyimnim lagugolotam. Right? By Zahara. Right, guys? Abar Benel says to Rashi, really? It means machatzit shekel, then why have the word legugilotam? Count their skulls, count their heads. That doesn't sound like machatzit shekel. V'inei Rashi lishamer mizeh piresh legugilotam al yedei hashkalim bekal agugolet. Of course, Rashi had to put in, I mean al yedei shkalim. Okay, but Abar Benel doesn't like that. Aval zeh lo niskar bekatuv. I'm sorry, that is not in the pasuk. That is far-fetched. V'niskara hefech, it says specifically the opposite. Kol zachar legugalotam. Moreh, this teaches me, shelo nimnu al yedei hashkalim, ela legugalotam. No, I don't believe it. I don't believe that forevermore we're doing machatzit shekel. I'm seeing legugalotam. Okay? And sheila daled, mat sorech haya b'minyan hazeh, shetzivah Hashem kan lemnot Yisrael. I don't even understand why we're counting people here. Why are we even counting people? He goes on to say the numbers didn't change. Okay, 3,000 people died in a Mageifa from the Egel. 3,000. So take the number, subtract 3,000, and move on. You're telling me I'm going to recount everybody after the Egel? What? That doesn't make sense. We're not counting to get a count. I think we can all do simple math. He says 3,000 people died. We don't need to do a new count. So instead, listen to the beginning of what he says. Okay, you have all the sources. You can do this yourself a little bit later. V'hineni mifaresh hapsukim be'ofen yutru ha'she'ilot te'ela kulam. I'm going to now answer all my questions. I only gave you the third and the fourth, but I want to show you something he says. And now here's the way he explains it. Do you remember just now in Chukat, the Abarbanel is the one who says that Moshe and Aaron didn't go into Israel? Not because of hitting the rock, not because of getting angry, not because of anything in Parshat Chukat. Do you remember? Do you remember? What does the Abarbanel say about why Moshe and Aaron didn't go into Eretz Yisrael?
Meraglim?
Yeah, he goes out on a limb. He says Moshe didn't go in because of the extra questions he gave the Meraglim, which just psyched them out. And Aaron didn't go in because of?
Egel.
Makes sense. He built an idol. It's weird, right? You always want to say, how did Aaron get away with that? So I know Chazal say, no, he was trying to push them off, or no, he saw that Hur got killed. He didn't want to die. And Abarbanel's so sharp. He's like, really? He says Aaron didn't want to die like Hur? Avodah Zara is a Yehareg V'al Ya'avor. So you're telling me Aaron wasn't as frum as Hur. That's what you're telling me. Hur died and Aaron was afraid. So Abarbanel says that is not true. Aaron blew it. He made an Egel. He meant well. Abarbanel says he meant well. I'm not saying he meant it to turn into what he turned into. He says Nebuch. He meant well and it went really bad, but because of him, it went really bad. And he also, therefore, got punished. Not with Am Yisrael, because that's lo kavod, later, after the rock. Same with Moshe. Moshe doesn't get punished with the Am, that wouldn't be kavod, later. But it was for the Meraglim. The Abarbanel is so creative, so often. I'm not like a Bucky in Abarbanel, but you read Abarbanel enough, and he does his own thing, okay? So I'm just saying that because here also, look, Uchavar pirashti b'seder ki tisa. I already told you in ki tisa. Shelo haita mitzvah hahi mimachatzira shekel sheyitnu be'et haminyan mitzvah lidorot. I already told you back in ki tisa, guys, this is not a mitzvah lidorot. When you count, use a machatzira shekel. That's not forever. That is not a mitzvah lidorot. That was about ki tisa. And he goes on to say that they were looking for contributions to the Mishkan. They were looking for silver for the Adanim. So they decided that everybody would give a machatzira shekel. It would be a contribution to the Mishkan because they didn't want to force people to give a contribution to the Mishkan. So they did it this way where they were like, you know what, we're going to do a census. Everybody give a machatzira shekel. Then everybody gave. Then they ended up with enough silver for things they needed, like the Adanim and Korbanot and different things. But they didn't want to force a fundraiser. It's like annoying, right, to be like guilt-tripped into a fundraiser. So instead, they did a census, but they did it with this, and it was a one-time thing. Never again do you need to be nervous. We always do machatzira shekel for the public fund, for korbanot hatzibur, but it has nothing to do with a census. You're allowed to count, and separately, you have to collect machatzira shekel. And I just want to show you, like, as an example, in Sefer HaChinuch, at the very end I'm showing you, in the Sefer HaChinuch, if you go look up Ki Tisa, you don't see him saying the mitzvah is never count except with machatzira shekel. You see, Sheitin kol echad miYisrael, miben 20 shana v'mala, ben oni, ben ashir, machatzira shekel, shul mishkas, and you have to give it every year. Mishorshei mitzvah, because Hashem wants to have everybody have a part in the korbanot, and Hashem wants everybody to be included in the, in the coffers of the Beit HaMikdash, etc. Great. Zehu, not related. So the Abarbanel saying that, like, I think these two things are separate and just happen to have coincided in Shmot, or the Kliyak are starting to say that, you see that Tachlis lehalacha, we're not really seeing that there's a problem. And even in the Masachet Yoma that I give you, where do you remember there's this whole Gemara about counting fingers of the Kohanim when they go do Avoda? We don't want to count. We want to like choose a Kohen to go do the Avoda because they were all racing to the Avoda. So everybody puts in a bunch of fingers and then they count and they have a number they're going to get to, and whichever finger they land on, if it's your finger, you get to do the Avoda. But we don't want to count Kohanim, we count fingers. And this Gemara that's talking about how can we do that and is it a problem to count, whatever. When they say at the end that it's a problem to count, they don't even quote a pasuk in Chumash. Amar Rabbi Elazar kol amona Israel over belav. If you count, you're in trouble. And I'm thinking, great, bring the kitisa pasuk. No, Hosea. What one of you just mentioned, right? Natanel, Tzviki, who said this? Vayam mispar b'nei Yisrael kachol hayam. Eli, who said, right? Kachol hayam shelo yimad. And then Rav Nachman says it's not only lo yimad. The end of the pasuk says v'lo yisafer. 2 words are there. 2 lavin. Lavin. It's a pasuk in Nach. Hosea. You can. How do you call that a lav? That's not a mitzvah lo ta'aseh. Hosea is not a source for a mitzvah lo ta'aseh. Like, do you see? There's not even a pasuk in Chumash they turn to. Rabbi Elazar and Rabbi Nachman don't want you counting. They can't point to a pasuk in Torah. They're like, guys, we are not able to be counted. Okay, but let's say I need to count. We're getting on a bus. Or I need a census for the country. I need to know how much water to bring in, how much electricity to bring in, how many soldiers to have to defend us. Okay, so you can count. And that's why in the end, without making this like the halacha shiur, but just to sort of start you on the sources, do you see how there's so much room to go forward on all these different things? Like, okay, if it's letzorech, I guess I can, or okay, if it's, buy something else and we're not even counting people, we'll stay away from the arrogance if it's about, a tzorech. We'll stay away from any ayin hara stuff if it's about counting people. Well, all of a sudden you can do a census. Okay, how about we just use psukim, Osheya Samecha, and then we can have a minyan? Or how about we just yell out numbers? 1, 2, 3, okay. There's room, if you start listening to like the halacha shiurs, if you go on YU Torah and you listen to like a halacha shiur, or you read from the Journal of Contemporary Halacha, if you start reading the halachic responses to doing a census in Israel, or to counting ever yourselves amongst like a bunk or whatever, you always end up with people saying, okay, tachlis, if you really have to, of course, there's a pool and we're nervous someone drowned. So we blow the whistle, everybody comes out. You count the children. 1, 2, 3, count. At the end of the day, it's not the isser we're all led to think, but there's something that's sort of like we get programmed with, this EBGB feeling at the beginning. But again, if you go through these sources, you start to see there's a lot of room for being able to count, even if we want to do it in a special way, in a certain way, in a removed way. Okay, say here. But you'll see now, it's fun to read all these halachic tshuvot and see. No one's going to really ask counting, but everyone tries to step away from it a little bit. Okay? By either talking about it being lit sorech, or by talking about being not exactly counting. Okay, Natana, what were you going to say? If anybody has to leave, feel free. But Natana, what were you going to say?
What's the idea that you count a pasuk, the Osheya Tamecha? What's the idea behind that?
So it would be removed. Yes, I need to make sure I have a minyan. So see, I'm even agreeing I can count people. But I would never want to assign a person a number. So I'm going to do a game. Let's say Osheya et Amecha, or Hamotzi, I've heard, Baruch Atah Hashem Hamotzi Lechem Min Haaretz. I don't know. Any pasuk that has 10. V'ani b'rav chastecha v'oveitecha, that's another one people use, anything that has 10. And I already got removed. But even yelling out, let's play a game, let's count to 100. Okay, every time we play this game, okay, I'll be 1, Natanel, you be 2, we're just going to play a game. 1, 2, 1. Who's supposed to do 3? We're not counting people. So people try to get off of this as much as they can. But again, you won't find someone telling you that if we think a kid drowned in a pool and I have to blow the whistle and call kids out of the pool, you will not find somebody going, use the puzzle. You're not going to find that. You count the kids. So for sure, la mitzvah, you can. Because again, we didn't have a chance to read. If you read every line of the Kliyakar and the Abarbanel, you see they talk about you would never have a negef if you're doing Sivoy Hashem. So in Bamidbar, when Hashem says count la gulgolet, that was the mitzvah, count la gulgolet. So you'll never have a magifa there. So if you're ever doing a mitzvah, don't worry about the machatzit shekel. So then people start saying, okay, a mitzvah, we start stretching mitzvah. Do you know what I mean? It reminds me, for those of you who remember, like in the halachot about, after the Chorban, all those halachot that we don't really do. We have Amma by Amma, we sing a Meshkachecha to Chuppah, but like, do we really leave off, right, a dish when we eat? Do women really leave off a piece of jewelry? And do we really not listen to music like the Shulchan Aruch says? No. Okay, then the Ramah says, Litzorech mitzvah. Okay, so I start saying, listen, if I'm studying for a final, I am going to be so stressed that I'm going to have lack of shalom bayis in my house. So that's the tzorach mitzvah, shalom bayis. Okay, all of a sudden, tzorach mitzvah got stretched, right? Exercise, that's totally mitzvah. So if you jog better with music, listen to music. And we only don't listen to music in the 3 weeks or the 9 days or the sphira But you see it's there for Avelu because we call on it sometimes, but we don't really do it every day. So whenever I hear Litzorech mitzvah as sort of a kula, a lot of times that stretches. So here also, when you see people who don't even say Litzorech, but say Litzorech mitzvah, you'll see that a lot of things fall into Litzorech mitzvah so you can count. That's all. I just think it's interesting that when you really look at it, it's way, I don't know, it's just fun. It's fun parshanut. And again, Psukim and Shmot, Psukim and Bamidbar, and then the David story, which is the very end of Shmuel Bet. Okay, so keep the source sheet, go through it longer. So nice to see you guys.